That's my gavel. Well, welcome everyone. This is the DMAC. You're viewing 6 volunteers, soon to be 6. Phil Henderson is on his way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that would help. You're welcome to put your chairs there. We just wanted we wanted you to be able to see the screen as well. Okay, so you can't see the numbers.
Are you picking me up okay?
I'm just gonna test that microphone. Testing. Can you guys tell if I'm in the mic? It doesn't sound like it is. It was just on. Let me see if the IT person's still here. If not, we have this one.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to repeat everything.
I
we
know.
say.
Yep.
You're gonna have to speak loud and enunciate.
Mayor Keeper also.
Yes, she is. She has a city council meeting this afternoon, so she will not be here.
I just got confirmation that remotely sounds clear, so that the video call sounds clear. Somebody just texted me and said that.
Okay. Good.
The room.
So now we just have to worry about the room. So the public record is working.
So just have everybody in the room log on.
Or play bingo in the middle. Yeah, that's right. And I was excited when I saw that.
I didn't know we were at church. Bingo.
There we go.
I'm playing bingo for a season.
Great. Because when I grew up, he used to.
Yeah.
Okay, no, they. They used to be doing the board is proposing goals close that, but I have been the status.
Supposed to project.
Yeah.
You got confirmation that it's working online very well.
Okay, great.
It's
It's supposed to go.
Yeah.
This is way beyond my.
With all this rain, you're gonna have to worry about fires.
No. Well, if I'm Saturday.
Yeah, your placard's there. Room for you
No,
there.
you're here.
Old Beach.
Yep, that's the witness seat. That's, they put you under oath.
Didn't see my.
They just set it up there. Up there.
I didn't want to be a witness.
60 mile road trip.
Now, install the flag.
Even had the.
You can put testing.
Kassim, can you hear me in the room?
It is picking it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Have who say so?
I'm also just gonna give you this mic
Okay.
and it's very loud so you can, so people can
Okay.
hear you. So might have to do a little passing today. And we may have, we can have 2 once the public comments open up. So we could do 1 at each table and this one.
Football.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you for the community of La Pine for hosting us today. This is our 4th location. We've been in Bend and Sisters and Redmond and now La Pine. And if you want to offer public testimony, make sure you sign up with one of the yellow sheets. And we'll get to that in just a moment. I begin by explaining the process we're in right now because it's a little bit complicated. And I think there's been some miscommunication on it. So if the committee will bear with me because you've heard this before, but I think it's helpful for the others. In November 2024, the voters of Deschutes County decided to go from 3 members to 5 members on the commission. And they are going to be elected in May of this year. And along there's 2 seats open, Commissioner DeBone and Adair. So we'll have 4 seats being voted on in May. The commission then began discussing about having a committee to look at putting together zones or districts for the 5 new commissioners. This could happen also on the May ballot. Our goal is to complete our work here and then submit a proposal to the county commission, and they have the first right to say, yes, we agree, that's fair and equitable. And if they do, then they will take the steps necessary to put it also on the May ballot. But it won't become effective for the candidates in May. In fact, it won't become effective until January 2028, just because of the timing of what's going on. And so, but that adds, of course, to some of the confusion. We have before us a lot of information, a lot of data that staff has prepared. Last meeting, there were 3 options given of just various types of maps that could be used. And those are a public record, but one was the one that the library district used when they did their zones and voted. And then the staff GIS, because of information this committee wanted, put together 2 others. And those are still available online. And then several citizens have submitted maps as far as what they think that would be a fair and equitable distribution on these districts. But that's the general way we're proceeding today. If for some reason the county commission does not approve the map, the recommendation, then the default position is at large. All of the 5 commissioners are elected at large. Likewise, if the voters in May, if they got to that point on what has been recommended, if they say we're not interested and we don't like these districts and vote it no, then it goes to a default. The default is an election at large of all 5 commissioners. So that's what's happening. And it's now time for, excuse me, I have a bit of a cold, the public comment. And we usually,
Approve minutes for.
yeah, that would be good. I should approve the minutes.
That's the order.
Yes. In your packet are the minutes, proposed minutes from the last meeting. And if there are any corrections or additions, please say so. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Matt. Second, Ned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, public comment. And we have a seat up here in a microphone as I call your name. Greg Bryant. Greg Bryant?
He's coming up.
Oh, there he is. There, you're behind me. I'm sorry. Yes. I recognize you. No relation, but he's been here before.
Is that fine?
My name is Greg Brown, Schuster Woods, and what you guys are doing is a very difficult process, and I know that. And with all of the comments that I've seen you mention Bend, Redmond, Sisters, Lapine, Tumalo, Sun River, Terrebonne. There's been no mention of Deschutes River Woods. In Deschutes River Woods, population of 5,600 people. It's the 3rd largest community in the county. It's 98th largest in Oregon, and it's larger than 117 cities in Oregon. So I would appreciate if some comments would be made of the Deschutes River Woods, since we are a large part of the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we're in precinct 142.
Thank you. Next, Stu Martinez.
Good afternoon, Stu Martinez, resident of Lapine, former first mayor of the city of Lapine. And I'd like to encourage staff and this committee to do a little better advertising. A lot of us down here didn't know about this meeting until probably 3 hours ago. So it was a rush to get the people down here that are here. There's some that I've been texting with that would like to be here. And were unable to make it because they've already been committed to other things. So I'd just like to encourage some better advertising, a little more notice than 3 hours to attend these meetings, because like the Deschutes River Woods, South Deschutes County is a big portion, growing portion of Deschutes County, and we'd like to be included. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one online. Okay,
You know who it is? Oh.
thank you. Chet Womble. Welcome.
Thank you.
Afternoon. Nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for volunteering for this position. It's a really important job. My name is Chet. I ran for Bend City Council a couple of elections ago. Also, Bend Lapine School Board a while ago. I live in Bend, Midtown. When the commission expansion thought was originally brought to the public, one of the main driving forces was that we would have equal representation or more representation for the county. And I'm just so glad to see that you guys are pushing for that we're not going to have at-large councilmen, that instead we're going to have districts and more accurate representation for everybody. So I just wanted to say thanks and leave that simple. Thank you much.
Thank you. Tina Lyons.
I'm Tina Lyons. I live in rural Deschutes County, down here in southern Deschutes County, and I have experienced one of the commissioners from our area who's on the Deschutes County Commission, Mr. DeVone, for many years, and I don't feel that his coming from Lapine has really been an advantage to the southern Deschutes County. I've seen, I know he has done some work, but a lot of times I've seen it not be used, his views not be completely in our favor. So I was curious about the difference between what are the advantages of having districts versus at large.
Thank you. And Jen, we have one. All right. For those online, if you want to give public testimony, could you raise your hand, please?
We have one already raised. Volume work. Rodney Cooper.
Robbie Cooper?
Rodney.
Yes.
Okay.
Ed,
Rodney Cooper, you're on.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sure. Mute. Oh, I heard something.
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure how the audio visual is set up where it will.
Can you hear me there?
Rodney, can you go ahead and speak?
I'm trying to, I'm not, my audio is on, but I'm not coming through for some reason.
Can we type it into chat? So then will you just let me know we're having some issues, and if you could put his public comments in the chat, if I could be able to see it.
Okay. Rodney, I hope you heard that, but you can put your public comments into chat and we'll be able to see them. But right now we can't pick up you audibly at this hearing.
Okay. Chat.
Bill, he can be heard online, so if he wants to give us comments online, the Zoom will pick it up and I will transcript that out for the committee members and any of the members of the public will include it in our next minutes to be able to hear. So
Okay.
Rodney, you can put your comments online and then Jen will make sure that they appear in the minutes and are circulated.
Okay.
Aha. Here comes our expert.
You done? Let up.
He did not try to give comment yet.
okay.
Must be the Yeti microphone. So that must be the Yeti microphone.
Tony, I'm hearing everything. But I can,
To
my
give a quick update on the microphone.
my microphone is showing, but you guys aren't hearing me.
Hi there, Jen Patterson, Strategic Initiatives Manager for Deschutes County. We apologize, but for those online, we are unable to hear the comments in the room. We will be back in Bend next week and we will have our full audio visual. So if you're online and would like to give public comments,
chat
you have that opportunity to do that next week,
So I
as
can
well as you can
put it
email
in
any
chat.
public comments to dmac@deschutes.org. That's DMAE@deschutes.org. Thank you.
All right, we will continue now with the update on the staff report. Yes,
Yeah.
Phil.
I'd like to make a motion that since we were short on people from South County, and I know they were one of the ones that actually had voter pamphlet support of this and if they wanted to put since we're not gonna use all our time up at the start of the meeting, we'll allow 15 minutes at the end if anyone comes in or whatever.
Okay, so if someone comes in later, we're still within our agenda and have time. Your idea is to use that 15 minutes
Yeah.
additional public comment.
End the meeting.
Is
Second,
discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, pose same sign, it passes. So Stu, if you have someone who wants to get here at the end of the meeting and offer testimony, we'll hear them. All right, Jen, give us an update on the data request.
There were some takeaways from last week, for the staff to get back to, so I'm just gonna give an update on that. The first one was generating a comparative precinct table for draft map options. We now have that in the meeting packet. There is a PDF form of the Excel spreadsheet that lists, the 3 map draft options with corresponding precincts and A, B, C, D, E designation. It's a little bit hard to navigate that data in a PDF. So along with that, that information was also shared with the DMAC members when I sent out your meeting packet in an Excel spreadsheet. And there's no tab in that Excel spreadsheet for each one of those map options that just make it a little bit more navigational for you if you individually want to work within that. So that's there. There was a request for providing precinct data with the existing library board map, and unfortunately, we don't have that for you this week. It should be pretty easy to get, but our county clerk is out of town for a conference, so we weren't able to include that this week, but we anticipate being able to include that for your next meeting packet. There was a request to change the color contrasting for the map option, so you will see the updated color contrasting, so hopefully that will be easier to read without having 3 similar shades in each of those maps. So we tried to do a real solid color contrast there. So that's included in the mapping packet, will be included online too for any members of the public who want to see that. It'll be posted on the webpage. And then lastly, there was a vote for staff to explore data options available in the American Community Survey. So Lee has been doing a deep dive into that. At this level, what we've learned is that there's a 1 year and a 5 year estimate. So that 5 year estimate from the 2020 census tract would be applicable and available right now. It is, upon our first deep dive look into it, Lee, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, it is available kind of at a larger census tract option within the county. And Lee believes that with some further work into that can get it down to a more granular level than the larger tract, but probably not at the precinct level. So we anticipate being able to bring that information back to you at the next meeting to show you where the intent is to bring it down to the smallest level possible available. And again, that's gonna be a 5 year estimate. It's not gonna be real live data, but it should be a pretty decent estimate based off of the 2020 census. There will also be some ability to overlap areas of maybe some community identified
For the testimony of
communities of common interest, sorry. Some overlaps there, if there's identified communities of common interest that the DMAC would like to collectively look at. There's gonna be potentially some overlay available with that 5 year estimate from that 2020 census tract from the American Community. So
population.
again, no, nothing hard to bring before you here, but staff is still continuing to do that work and hopes at the next meeting to be able to present some information on what we have available to work with to at your discretion.
Period.
I think that was all the give backs. Did I cover everything there?
Rural
I'm just scrolling
Yes,
back up on the
Matt.
agenda.
county.
Okay, yep, I think I covered everything there. And then finally.
Jen,
oh,
Matt had a question.
Yeah, I know at the end of the last meeting, we discussed including the 3 maps that had been presented by members of the public. Have those been done yet?
So there are, I am tracking 4 maps that have been submitted for public comment. I went back and watched the meeting minutes and the meeting notes, and there wasn't a formal motion for that. So if or any committee member would like to make a motion of that, and there's a majority of DMAC members who would like to do that, staff is more than happy to do that work too, to kind of incorporate it into the same visuals that you have for the other 3 options that staff tracked.
Great. I apologize. I thought we kind of agreed by consensus last week, but I will make a motion that we ask staff to kindly provide maps of the 4. I wasn't aware of the fourth one, maps that have been submitted by citizens, so we can review those also.
That's the motion. Is there a second? Second. Carol will be the second. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It passes.
Great, so Lee will spend some time this next week to transfer those into the same visual and software that you have for the other 3 options, so that everything looks visually the same, and then you can go forth in any capacity you choose there. And lastly, the last get back was there was a motion that was unanimously passed to schedule a community listening session. So I thank all of you for filling out the doodle poll in a very quick time frame. And we were able to get a consensus of 6 of the 7 members, and one of our members is going to be out of town, unfortunately. But 6 of the 7 of you have selected Thursday, October 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. That's going to be at the Deschutes Service Building at the Barnes and Sawyer room. So if any community members are familiar with it, it's the downstairs room where the county commissioners meet on a weekly basis. That address is 1300 Northwest Wall Street. Okay, Ben, sorry, just checking, making sure I got that address correct. We are also we have a draft press release, so we are going to be publishing that far and wide and often with as many community partners, community cities, and on all of our social medias, out to the media. But we will have a media release available probably by end of day today. I can share that with the DMAC members as well, so you are free to publicize that out to anyone. And that's going to be, at our next meeting, the DMAC can decide how they kind of want the format, but that meeting was based on your motion, really designed to be an opportunity for any members of public to come in and give comments, and not really a working group session for the DMAC members, but an opportunity for the DMAC members to absorb, public comments.
And for clarification,
Carol.
it will, oh, never mind. It will be on Zoom, right?
Yes, it will be live on Zoom, and the public comments will be able to be heard on Zoom, on video and on audio. Yeah, so that's available.
And one of the reasons that we scheduled this from 5:30 to 7:30, so people who work would have an opportunity to testify. That was one of the concerns that some people mentioned. And right now, the thought is it's not going to be a regular DMAC meeting in the sense that we're not going to take action, but we're going to be listening and involved in a dialogue with the people that are presenting information and public testimony. So we'll talk about a little more about how you might want to have that done. Drew.
Before we get onto the update number 4 on the agenda, as I mentioned it earlier, I would really appreciate if someone could give us a download from Monday night and the commissioners meeting where apparently the topic was discussed. I think it's very germane to this committee, which is something I think some people refer to as the Missoula option, talking about whether commissioners might get elected at large, but have to live in districts. And I understand this was discussed at Monday's commission meeting, and I'm hoping somebody here could give us a little report on that. I understand maybe Jen or Lee or somebody could do that.
Nick?
Sure, I'm happy to do so. Nick Lewack, County Administrator, but the commissioners discussed it and did not support moving forward with that option in this time. So what the Missoula option would be, it's like, for those of you that are familiar with the Bedlam Pines School District, where there are a number of districts where the candidate must reside in the district, but they're elected at large. That's the Missoula concept, is they have districts where the commissioners will live in the districts, but then all of the seats would be elected at large. The majority of Board of Commissioners did not support proceeding with that option.
Why not?
I will defer to individual county commissioners to discuss that, and this is not a board meeting. So this is a DMAC meeting. And that video is available online to watch from Monday afternoon. And so that discussion is all available. I'm happy to provide that direct link.
Thank you, Nick. And thank you for being available on the 16th. That'll be an important meeting. Now we go to item 5, which is the group discussion and map work. You have attached maps with better colors than last time. Yes. Bernie.
Okay, we keep bringing up this, communities, excuse me, communities of common interest. And it's like 27 different definitions, which means there is no definition. As Ned said, the 2 common interests we have is we live in Central Oregon and the areas we live in.
Gratefully common.
You know, the other one is there's a lot of old people. So how do we, I would just, the map, the number 2 map is my favorite, and the map this gentleman, excuse me, divides everything up. Like Lapine is, we have a city, but we're rural. Redmond, a city, but it's rural. There's a lot of rural area there. So you've got rural and city in all the sections. So, common interest, we've just sort of, it just clogs the thing up, makes too many gray areas. I think just the way some of these maps are laid out, they both, the sections have city and rural in each section. Common interest, we live in Central Oregon, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you. And Steve Dennis is not here today, our clerk, but as he mentioned before in the prior testimony, that when they, in 2020, 22, when they redid the precincts, they looked at common interests then, like road districts, fire districts, those sort of things, so that a school district, so you'd be voting in the ballot on the same things as your neighbor. So that's been done to some extent with the precincts that are here. But it's, and where you have, we have 4 cities and then an unincorporated area. That's the way the county is divided in the census and otherwise too. And so those boundaries of the cities and then incorporated area are a little easier to see. Where the challenge is, in order to make the zones, the districts balance out on voter population and registered voters, you have to go into and along the city of Bend, which I think has 21 precincts, and try to determine, okay, how are we going to move votes over here, and then what does it do to the rest? And probably that's where the common interest would have more of a discussion as you're trying to make those changes. Doesn't affect a lot of precincts, but that's where I suspect that it would be.
Okay, I know we have other input from other people from out there, but this one gentleman's map, by his percentage difference by voter is only 2.8%, and by census is only 1.2%. So we stayed within that 5% we're supposed to be, and if you look at this map really close, it takes in city and rural on most all of them.
And what map is that? Was that the one by Mr. Tripp? Or
Yes,
was
the gentleman sitting right behind you.
Brian? That was Mr. Bryant. Okay.
I just remember his map because it was so
Close.
close to what we need mathematically and everything.
And at the next meeting, we'll have that in the same form that of the options that we're looking at today. Thank you. Other comments? Ned, would you pass the gun mic?
Yeah. He's got his own.
Yeah, I agree that there's not there's a lot of different definitions of what common is. That better?
Yeah.
However, what I was trying to say the last committee meeting, that's the hard part of this work. Moving boxes around and numbers is not hard, it's just an exercise. It doesn't mean anything if we don't agree on some areas of common interest. And so I've kind of thought more about it since the last meeting. I think there's been, of course, and it's big, it's kind of the elephant in the room because of people. But there's a lot of people talk about South County, Redmond, North, or Sisters area. So you got 3 kind of rural areas with cities in them. And then you got Bend, and that's why I think our task was to figure out what to do in and around Bend. I think South County is different than Bend, and I think Redmond is different than Bend. So I think I've concluded that there are areas of common interest, and it's the area around Bend that we're going to struggle with.
Other thoughts? Questions? Leave
I guess
Bill.
So. I agree with that. Greg Bryant's starting map was really pretty good. And it's kind of similar to option 2 that we got in the packet today. And an example to me where when we're talking about around Bend, if you look at option 2, one of the differences between option 2 and the one that Greg Bryant did is he had precinct 20 that Greg did in what's the purple district there, but he didn't go down and pick up 46, and that's a good example to me where 20 I think could be arguably part of that kind of rural northern sector. It also shares all the interchanges with the main highways up there. 46 to me doesn't have much in common with that. And so that'd be an example where we're choosing around Bend, I would put 46 in with East Bend. Because if you drive through these areas, they're all similar kinds of neighborhoods and intense housing. The 20 is more so north of, I think, north of Princeton or north of Empire maybe, or that region. So if I was trying to cut and make some boundaries, that's a good example to me of where around Bend, you know, which one you pick, I would relocate that. And we had talked about 49, which is a big district, goes all the way out to the western boundary of Deschutes County, but most of it's pretty rural, and so that was in Mr. Bryant's map, I believe that was in the purple. So that's another example where I thought that could go either way in terms of if it's kind of a bend, part of it's is close to the west side of Bend, may have some of west side Bend. And then the third part is that 41, it's not just about yeah, so I gotta have that memorized.
Okay.
But 41 was, I think, in Mr. Bryant's, that was part of the purple. And to me, that made sense because that again is the northern side of Bend. It doesn't have much in common with South County, in my mind, but so that's just some readjusting that I would do, that we examples of what I think are common interests just regionally in terms of what the people in those areas predominantly deal with. Thank you. Can I say one more thing?
Oh, yes, yeah.
This one thing, and I was kind of accepting the premise that Ned had made about the generally about Bend and Redmond and South County and North County. I mean, I agree with that kind of regionalism. So I started with that premise, then I was just looking at some changes or in the boundaries.
Other general comments? If we want to get specific, we can do that and actually start moving things with Lee if we have a consensus of that that's the direction we want to go.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested in, I'm not really prepared to start looking at specifics today based on the fact that I was kind of hoping we'd have the other maps that we could zero in on and take a good hard look, because I kind of agree with my
The guy on the right.
companion here that that I think one of the closest maps that I've seen so far is actually the one that was provided by Mr. Bryant, but I'd also like to zero in on some of the others that were submitted by some of the members of the public, and then figure out which one. I think personally I'd like to figure out which one of the 7 seems to be the closest to maybe the group consensus, and then start trading numbers back and forth based on areas of common interest from there.
Lee.
Lee is my middle name, by the way, so I don't mind you calling me
Oh,
that.
I called you Drew, excuse
You
me.
called me
I'm
Lee,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest a slightly different tack, which is, we've got 3 in front of us. We're gonna have 4 more we're gonna look at from the public, but I feel as if more is not necessarily better at this point. And I would suggest maybe there is a possibility of eliminating an option or 2 early on, because I think it's gonna be easier for us maybe to agree on what doesn't work straight away versus what works. And I would propose today that we toss out option 3 that we're looking at in here. I think it's entirely unworkable. I think that it really doesn't. I think we can probably agree that the entire west side of the county is not a common area of interest. I think that was talked about before. And so I would propose a motion today to help us along this task by saying, well, we're not going to bottle it option 3. But
Second.
I'll put that on the table.
That's your motion.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion to remove option 3. Is there a second? Matt seconds it. Discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So option 3 is off the table.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Matt,
I would move we also eliminate option 1.
which is the
The
one from the library district.
I'd second that.
Second, Phil, discussion?
I guess I'd like to hear your rationale for it now.
Sure, in looking at the different options, some of the, I mean, back to Phil's comments about kind of areas of common interest and back and forth and the details. I think my personal opinion is I like what's been presented in option 2 as being much closer to areas of common interest in the way it's divided up than option 1, and I figure I like what I've seen from members of the public better than either of these 2 options, so I'd really like to take a look at those, but if you wanna start narrowing down which ones we're gonna look at off these options, I like option 2 and I'm not much interested in option 1.
The discussion, yes, Ned,
Is option 1 the library option?
yes, the library option. Other comments or discussion?
Well,
Phil, let's give you a mic here.
I mean, it may be, some overdone, but I just, when you look at the city of Bend, I think we talked about this a little bit last time, that when you put 5 and 47 into this kind of South County and the Pine area, they're just such different places, and then this one in 4 is you know, basically Drake Park. It wraps around there, so I just think they're inconsistent, and the same is true when you look at putting 9 and 34 into those are just city districts, really. I mean, they're very highly residential and not really that much common area of common interest with the rural parts of the county. I think this is almost to the maximum you could do that kind of thing. So suggest we
Ned, oh, excuse me, I didn't know you.
I just gonna suggest we eliminate it as a
Ned,
Yeah, I have the library map in front of me here. It's not the same as option 1.
there were 2 changes made because with the precincts had to be contiguous, and with the initial library one, there were 2 that were not contiguous, so
Right.
staff did make that change.
Yeah. The precinct 10 was non-contiguous, we made that contiguous. And then we moved some other precincts to try to get close to the range, so you'll see precinct 18 and precinct 49 were moved into A, where before they were in other precincts on the library map, so we base this map off of the library district map, but it is not a replica of.
Ned,
And you split 43.
I think they split a precinct. Did you split a precinct?
no, they didn't split any precinct.
Those 2 maps look a little. 43 is 43. A different shape anyway.
Might show that to Lee and he can probably understand it. We have 2 maps here and the precinct 43 is different on them.
The library district split 43. We did.
Yeah, maybe the library district split 43.
That's his.
Oh, there you go. No, that's what it was.
Here, it could also be that the precinct, there was some update in precincts in 2020, I think February 2022, there were some precinct updates. And I believe the library district map was before that, but probably defer to our county clerk, Steve Dennison, on that exact detail.
Other discussion? Okay, there's the motion.
Well,
It's-
hang on one second.
Oh, okay.
One thing.
Yes,
Yeah, I think on the basis, I'm gonna say this basis, solely on the basis, the fact that precinct 18 is located with District A on option 1. I would support Matt's notion, because as somebody who comes from Redmond, I don't think that area up towards Terrebonne really has any business being anywhere but with the Redmond folks personally. So it's, if we talk about communities of common interest, we got a lot more in common with that northern part of Redmond. So on that basis, I would be happy to and consideration of option one as well at this point.
Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion is signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So ready to adjourn until we get new lights.
Yes, Carol.
Because we have people in attendance, perhaps it would be a good learning curve for them to see how we move these districts, and if we wanted to maybe show them option two. And what happens when we move them or what we're looking for, so that everybody has an understanding of where we're at, where we're trying to go.
Well, option two is now up on the screen with new colors, so it's easier to see. And the areas in black indicate cities and their city limits. And so that's, and then you see the main roads going through. If the group wants to go ahead and for instance, make a couple of changes that Phil suggested, Lee can go ahead and do that. Correct? And so is that the consensus to do that? All right, Lee, do you need any clarification from Phil on which precincts he was mentioning?
Recap, the 49 goes with purple.
Well, I brought that up as one of the things that is flexible. I probably more important would be 46, going with the yellow. And I would actually include 26. 26 didn't show up on our paper copies, but so it looked like that was part of 46, but 26 also would be part of the city, the yellow.
Yellow too big. Small.
Okay, so what did you do, Lee?
Okay, for everyone here in attendance, I was able to select these two precincts and change them from what was purple, or like we're calling area B, and change them to C. And by doing that, we can see how it changed the population counts. So what we have here is this range that we want to be within, or we're trying to be within. And this area C has this population count, and the purple's gone down. So if
Can you take 26 out again and
Yes.
see if that helps?
Well, you might explain the population for the audience.
And why he's doing that, the graph on the right, we have target for population and also target for voter registration. It's on another graph. And we try and stay in that little black box for range. It's a 5% range. And so that's one of the goals and criteria of the committee. We aren't going to have exact number of population and voters, but we're going to be within that range, which the Secretary of State says is acceptable. So if you increase in one area, which we just did, then you've got to take some away, and where that would be. And what Carol suggested was to put one of those precincts back and see what happens. Phil.
Yeah, so what Mr. Bryan had done is he had included 41 in with the purple, which would lower South County some, but it would increase the purple. And he'd also included 12, but
Would make sense.
maybe just do one of those and see how it looks.
So you'd like to take 41 and
Well.
we change it to.
Well, 41 was the closest, yeah, to the rest of the purple.
Yeah.
One second, can I just ask a question? So let's be clear for everybody here. We are looking at 2020 census figures in the graph, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I wonder before you start moving districts around again, is it possible, is it an easy toggle for you just to look at that in terms of the registered voters also? I'm just wondering if that narrows our gap any.
Yeah. I have this graph here where I can show the
Okay.
population order, which is shown here, so you'll know when we're looking at population versus here we have voters.
Okay, so this is voters and this is again as of end August.
Makes
Is
it
that our
relevant.
most? Yeah, okay.
I didn't know.
And you see that does change a little bit, because part of what I was gonna mention is, we're looking at purple as being the outlier here, and my suspicion is this is one of our fastest growing areas of the county, living up that direction, seeing all the amount of building that's going on in Redmond, that even if we don't move some things around here, that gap could be narrowed in reality very, very quickly, but I just want to make that point.
Here you go.
What would happen?
Bernie.
What would happen if you cut? Glasses. What would happen if you cut 46 and a half somewhere? Would that even out the numbers? Where we come up into the target area we're supposed to be? I don't know where you cut 46 and a half, but.
It would be very difficult to cut a precinct in half, because then that we don't know exactly in that precinct other than the total population.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's what I was
Bill.
gonna ask. You could ask. So do we have 41 in the purple now?
Not yet.
Not yet. We have, I gotta select two of them, but we'll go ahead and change that.
About 1,000 people. So we get about enough.
I tried to do this by hand. And I'm just about to get there. And I have to move something. It's not easy.
We're looking at population in the graph right now.
Can you go back to voters?
12.
So can you put 12 into the purple as well?
Voters out there.
No move 18. Yeah, now what happens if you move 18 into the purple?
18 is.
Top.
Oh, right, right, yeah. And you want this moved into purple?
Yes. And then go back to the voter side.
There you go. Yeah. That's the point,
How close? Balls.
And what would the voters be there, Lee?
That's vote.
That's voters. You don't,
That is
what's the population?
Oh, okay, but that was population.
That's voters.
Okay,
Closer.
all right.
Swap two of those.
Bill.
Can you show Ben more closely here now? Is that the voters now?
Yeah, it's on the left.
Okay.
Now it's voter.
just to point it out again here on, right here. Using the mouse by this little arrow, looking at the voter graph, which is number 2, when we're looking at number 1. You'll also see the list population here, so hopefully that helps know, which graph you're looking at.
Matt,
Yeah, I guess based on the fact that the registered voters is more updated and more likely probably reflects current population trends, given the population is 5 years old. My guess is that from a ratio standpoint, population is more accurate data than the voter registration is more accurate data. Since Redmond is the fastest growing area, having it being a little bit on the low side probably isn't going to be a bad thing over the next 5 years. It's got, with its urban reserves and the ability to grow faster and convert to urban growth boundary quicker, I think good chance Redmond is going to continue to be the fastest growing area, so it wouldn't hurt to have its population a little bit on the low side going in at this stage.
Drew.
Yeah, Lee, can you just put 18 back in with E again? Because E is where we're coming up short. And again, I feel that area is very much tied to northern Redmond rather than the western part of the county. So we're left with a little gap again there in B, and trying to figure out a low population precinct you can add to B to level that out and get everything in the boxes.
Matt,
Yeah, what would happen if we go ahead and move 19?
you want to do 18 first though, right?
Oh, yeah, move 18. and
Move
then
18 first.
18. Swap the two, one for the other and see what it would look like.
So 18 to purple and make 19 burning. Okay.
Correct. And then look at the voter side. Bingo.
This one here is so close and Redmond is still below, which would help for if the population growth is the way it is. Can you hang on to that somehow so we can get a copy of this one here? I'm not a computer guy, so.
Option 2A.
I mean, in our next package, if this one.
Yeah, we'll get a screenshot of it.
You can call it option 2A.
I mean, we're in the box. Even the area where Redmond would be is right on the bottom, so we, like you said, with the population growth in the Redmond area, the way it's growing up there.
Drew.
Yeah, so I'm perfectly happy to look at this option again as the Redmond representative on this group. I will just say I would be very interested to get public comment and interest from folks in those two precincts we're talking about, 12 and 18, because I do feel pretty strongly that 18 again aligns with North Redmond much more than it does the western part of the county, but I may be wrong. Maybe public testimony disabuse me of that notion. And it seems like, you know, we're working around the fringes of Redmond right now to get these numbers working. I don't have any problem with that, but I think it's going to be important to have public testimony and help inform that. As I said, I think a meeting or two ago, communities of interest I think are going to be defined by the communities of interest and the people testimony from giving us testimony from those communities. Okay.
Matt.
And I don't disagree. I mean, I guess one of the thoughts we were talking about is giving 18 back to Redmond. And then taking, was it 19 and moving it into the sisters one. And seeing how that balanced.
18.
Right.
Change 18 back to red, we'll change 19 back to purple.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see how it balances. Let's see if there's something else to offset with the 18. On the overside. So we need to find one more to move it back to purple.
Well,
Toggle the population again, I missed that, so it went by so quick. Okay.
Bill,
Were you suggesting, Matt, that you wanted to add another one to the light green to, or to the
Move
purple?
one more to purple.
it needs another purple.
I guess my question was, Drew, and with all respect, when you actually have less voters in your district, you actually, those voters have proportionally more say. So it's not really, to me, a disadvantage to Redmond people to have a lower population actually. So I think the issue to me on 18 is that it's a pretty large precinct. Half of it is kind of part of that rural North County, when you go down Lower Bridge and those areas. I agree with you that they look to Redmond like we talked about, but it'll be interesting. So I think so does 19. I mean, that's just right past Ridgeview High School.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so it's kind of the 6-1. But if we put both in, it's too many.
Right.
But yeah. Oh.
One more, Phil.
So I don't know if it's possible for you to make maps of these as we've talked, just so that we have them for future reference, but
Yeah,
that's interesting.
we're making note of, where we had, 19 for the DC, so if you want something, let us know, we'll, gather it and we can.
So another possibility here for kind of upping the numbers in B would be take 11, precinct 11. And move that into the purple. Which is that very northern slice of down right there. I think that might balance you out a little bit too.
Matt?
Yeah, it does help with the balances, but as far as areas of common interest. I would question whether how well 11 fits with the Sisters and Tumalo and Redmond or Crooked River Ranch and those communities. Versus, I mean, the 18 is more rural. As far as fitting with Sisters, and that encompasses the Lower Bridge. And the areas, I mean, very rural areas. Granted, Terrebonne has always been connected to Redmond, but I think 18 is actually a closer match to the north. The North County and the Sisters area as far as more rural population, certainly than going the other way down into Bend.
Carol?
Looking at these maps, are they available online? And as we dial it down before we go to the public comments, will the people have the opportunity to just look at, say, we've got option 2, 3, and 4, so that when they come to make the comments, they can address that?
Lee, what's available online or
Yeah.
Jen?
If the committee votes and there's a majority of you who want options 2, 3, and 4, to use your example, Carol, as options to be put in a meeting packet for the agenda for the public comment for consideration, we can absolutely do that. So this software is not available for them to go and play in.
Right.
That's Lee's specific software, but any map. So for the next meeting, we captured the one map that Matt was interested in capturing. I guess technically we should have gotten a vote on that, but we'll recreate that and have that as one of the options. Here it says option 1, 2, 3, 4, but right now you guys have narrowed it down to option 2, and now we have a 2B for consideration, so those will be included in the meeting packet. So yeah, anything you guys vote on, we can definitely include and put.
So is there consensus to do that for the next packet and the meeting, the 2 revised maps that we've talked about on the screen today?
Sure, along with the other.
Yeah, along with the others. Okay. So I think we have consensus there. I don't think we need a motion. Other questions or thoughts?
It's not marked at the top, is it?
You need a microphone. Dan,
The black mark at the top is still at 5%. And then of the numbers.
yes. That's the range, the
Is that the
5%.
Voters or the population? Is that the voters or the population?
That's voters. Two
That's
is
voters there.
voters. One is
One is population.
Population, this is voters.
You went back and forth. So what's this one?
Sorry, this one's voters.
Voters. Okay, that's good. Thanks.
It's like upside.
You have to be able to see that far.
Drew.
I just,
So I would just like to put forward, I'm not gonna necessarily put this forward as a motion as this stage, but we have discussed now, several meetings in, and this might be the first meeting we haven't discussed it, which we're trying to use as a criteria. And I maintain both. So I maintain that, at the end of the day, once there's some overwhelming evidence that we have that, that we're way out of whack, in terms of growth in a particular area, that we should be aiming ultimately to get an option that hits the box in both versions.
Yes.
And I think if we do that, we're going to take a lot of contentiousness out of this whole debate. I know other people feel that typically districting is done on population, and that has been precedent in most districting efforts that have been done in the past. I also personally see the value in having more updated information that comes from having registered voters and the information that is almost current in the last month or two. So my suggestion is that we try as hard as possible to get options that hit the box on both of these.
Ned,
And I think we need 3 criteria: voters, population, and interest. Not just 2.
Sure.
And we're gonna get another set of data on the population. So that needs to be considered anyway, so. It'll be, what, you don't think we're getting another?
Well, it won't be as granular as this. I think if we're talking about the narrative.
No, but it's like Portland State University's numbers or something like that. I thought we were getting that information. So you're saying no?
no, we already have that
In
in,
these numbers?
not in these numbers, no.
But updated census data, Lee has spoken to them on the phone directly way before we even had a DMAC committee, so we can't get it from PSU Population Research. Melanie Keebler put forth the ACS American Community Survey, thank you. To try to get, and that was the update I provided at the beginning here. Lee's already started to do a deep dive in there. We can right now get that data overlap at a larger census tract. And Lee believes he can get it at a smaller level of a precinct block level, but not at a census block level, but not, which is still bigger than a precinct level. So there will be an opportunity to see an overlay of kind of the 5-year estimate from the census. But to talk about, we won't be able to provide in the Excel spreadsheet, precinct 1, 2020 census, 2025 census estimate, and then the voter registration like that. It won't be able to be comparable in that area. So we're pretty sure.
Okay, but the thing I hear from Redmond is they're growing the fastest, and that's gonna tell us whether the bars are out of the criteria or not.
Well, there'll be, right, I mean, you get the information saying, okay, these areas grew this amount. That's their best estimate. It's not a census though. That's not where they go into the households and count everybody and things, but this based on motor vehicle registration or building permits and death certificates, birth certificates, they look at those sorts of things and they come up with an estimate. But the challenge is then, okay, you get an estimate, then where do you put it in the precincts that are covered by that? And like Bend has 21 precincts.
I get that voters census, not the voters registration, the census at 5 years old is an estimate also.
Yeah,
Today.
the census is 5 years
So we
old.
only have one set of data that's accurate. So the voter registration.
Well, the census is accurate as of 2020.
Okay. Well, that's 5 years ago.
It's
And
5 years
it's
ago.
growing a lot.
It has.
So I get it, 5 years ago, it was great, but it's not today. I mean, maybe we can use both if they fit. I just like accurate data, so.
So if I may,
Matt,
I think that was kind of the discussion. It would be awesome if we could get both of them in the same box. But one's 5 years old, does not reflect faster growing areas such as Redmond. And that was why I leaned toward using the voter registrations, because it's up to date to the last month-ish. So it's the most accurate data we have and can get. I mean, granted, it does reflect actual voter registrations, but it also reflects DMV, because you walk into DMV, you automatically get registered to vote. And so voter data is going to reflect a more detailed breakdown to the level we're looking for. The guesstimate that we're talking about getting is strictly that, a guess as far as data, and it doesn't drill down to the level that we're trying to address.
I don't think we're going to be able to get drilled down on population. That's why I mentioned the correlation last time. If you got more data that's current on voters and it's jumped 20%, then you can guess that the other one jumped 20% also.
Exactly.
I recommend we use that as a base of the voters and look at the correlation and see if we're out of the boxes.
Bill,
Not to get too fine a point of it, but it is that the thing that concerns me about youth population is some of these precincts have grown so much. I look at 17 in Redmond, went from 5,300 voters to 8,500 voters. It's I don't know what that is, 30% or something more. And the other thing I think that people worry somewhat about is that, well, we're not getting the entire population, we're just getting maybe the adult population. But one thing about Oregon's motor voter is all the 18-year-olds are automatically registered. So to some extent, families are shown. It may not show the younger kids, but it doesn't exclude youth or whatever, or population that's unregistered. I think we have very high registration rates because of that.
and there are, in your data that's been provided, there are 5 precincts where the number of registered voters is actually in excess of the population. So that shows again what the growth is in those areas, but it's good information, it's accurate information, and so that's something that's reflected in the data that you already have. Dan?
That is my point. When the voter registration is higher than the population, it means the population data is not right.
Yeah, well, and probably the more accurate data would be the voter registration in those precincts. Drew?
Yeah, I would just add, I made this comment earlier, the precedent, of course, for doing this kind of district efforts or redistricting in other cases is always typically based on population. It's also typically done at the time of the census. So I accept very much that usually when people are doing this, you're talking about information that's a year or two old, not 5 years old. So I think ultimately that, again, I'll say, I think we should be trying to hit both boxes, but if there's a box that we have to hit between the two, I think I would probably say I lean towards the voter registration numbers too in this particular case. So just to say where I'm at.
Okay, thank you. Great discussion. You guys have worked hard and made progress. Are you gonna say that's not true?
Bernie's
Dan?
got a comment.
Oh, okay, then Bernie. Bernie,
The one map, I think you called it option 2A.
I called it option 2.
I mean,
We
this
might
one
call
up-
it something else.
That's where you have Redmond low to bring it up for the population growth.
Yep.
That would be on the maps we get later.
Yes, a new packet of information.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Jen Lee, any comments or thoughts? Is something we need to go?
For next week, or next meeting's discussion, is we're gonna have map option 2 as it was originally presented. Map option 2B is what I called it. And then the 4 community member submitted maps are available for screen share for you. That's staff's takeaway at this juncture, and then potentially updates on the population or the data.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, the American Institute data. Anything else you would want from staff? Okay, good. By the way, staff's doing a great job.
They are.
They worked long and hard in getting this information for you and kind of guessing what you want and putting it into their computer terms so that
I'm
it
sure
could.
they cringe every time we meet.
So,
Didn't Nick have their own start?
I think
yeah. Is anyone else signed up to testify?
We have one.
Okay.
It is written one.
Okay, good. All right, please read it out.
Thank you. Okay, this is from Rodney Cooper, who is online, but we couldn't hear him. So his public comments are: I want to speak to my concern that rural Deschutes County will not be adequately represented. If we were to estimate head to the 2030 census, we could anticipate the city of Bend population will outgrow the population increase in the rural areas. This means that if we operate by equal populations in the 5 districts, Bend will eventually dominate the county commission selection. What we don't need is Bend turning into another little Portland that will run the entire county. Rather than doing this process with an emphasis on equal distribution of population, we should be doing an equal distribution of the geographic area. That is the only way that the rural voice can maintain any substantial degree of influence in county decisions. To counter the testimony of the woman who thought we should have 5 at-large districts, the same results would happen because Bend's population, ever increasing, will control who the county commissioners will be. Thus, rural Deschutes County will be underrepresented. Thank you. Gratefully, Rodney Cooper.
And where was
Okay.
it from?
Didn't say, sorry.
Thank you. All right, well, just said good work. Yes, do you have something? Bernie?
I'm just, as far as this one map, I'm just using it because I have all the numbers on it. Being equal, under the voters, the difference between high and low is 2.8%, and by census is only 1.2%. So option 2 and this gentleman's map here are the closest percentage-wise with the least amount of variance of some of these other ones. And his map showing that Redmond will grow probably faster because it's more open area, and the urban boundary is easier to change for them than some of the other places. Lapine grows slower because of winter.
That was said by someone from Lapine, not someone from Bend. So please. All right, well, thank you for your prompt attendance and your discussion today. I think we're making progress, and we'll see you next week.
Be the one who's not available for the public comments, and I'm the one who pushed for it, but I'm leaving that day for my vacation birthday. So I will Zoom in maybe, but for sure I will listen to public comments.
Okay, I know you will, Carol.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
57.
Oh,
Say, yeah, I'll be 55.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh, how wonderful. We are adjourned.